Let's go over to the wide receivers if you need help there right now. You start with the Chiefs. This is actually an offense you could be excited about and grab someone from waivers, and that is Hollywood Brown right now, guys. Obviously, Rashee Rice is out with the suspension. Jalen Royal is the rookie wide receiver that had a nice camp, is dealing with a knee injury. So you look towards Hollywood Brown as his target share should go up because of this, Matthew.
It's a talented player that just hasn't been able to stay healthy recently as well, but you've got Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, and then it's a little bit wide open. All due respect to Noah Gray and Juju Smith-Schuster, who you see there on your screen. Hollywood Brown, in his 2 games that he played last year, he only played 2 with a week 16 and 17, but in those 2 games he was targeted on 44% of his routes. Mahomes obviously trying to get him into rhythm, get him into the game. So I don't know that you want to start Hollywood Brown. Let's see how this Chiefs offense looks in week 1 in the Brazil game against the Chargers, but certainly given this is a guy that was a top 20 fantasy wide receiver for a number of years when he was in Baltimore. We saw some success in Arizona as well.
He's 28 years old, Matthew. Feels like Hollywood Brown's
forever,
like 50, but he's 4.5 years younger than Devontae Adams. Just he dealt with a lot of injuries. And look, Xavier Worthy is still a little theoretical, like in terms of how expanded his route tree is going to be, his capacity to be a true wide receiver 1. Like there are going to be, for the first 6 weeks, there's going to be a reasonable chance on a given week that Hollywood Brown is the number 1 guy for Patrick Mahomes. He'll be an underdog to Xavier Worthy, but there is a chance, and the Chargers secondary doesn't really scare you that much. I think that the Chiefs, I think that they will go out of their way to dial up explosives in this game because they've been hearing it for 2 years now that they can't get explosives. Now they have Josh Simmons at left tackle, they have a fortified offensive line, and they have Hollywood Brown alongside Xavier Worthy. So I think they'll take shots down the field.
100% agree. I've been on record as saying I think that after everything that happened in the Super Bowl last year and all the chirping and blah, 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 I think Patrick Mahomes goes scorched earth this year. I think he goes scorched earth this year, and he's back to the Mahomes that we saw, fantasy superstar a couple of years ago.
On the other side of this game, guys, Keenan Allen against the Chiefs in this Brazil game. Listen, Jay, it feels like nobody cares about Keenan Allen. He was wide receiver 21 in points per game over the final 7 games of the season. He might still have something left in the tank here.
Yeah, and the thing is that he is wide receiver 2, presumably, for Justin Herbert, who is one of the 10 most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, it's a distant wide receiver 2 to Ladd McConkey, and we'll see how much they run the ball. Perhaps they have to throw it a little bit more without Rashawn Slater blocking up the run game. But look, this Chiefs defense it's a solid defense overall. I don't think it's going to reach the heights of best defense in the league that it was flirting with a couple of years ago. But Keenan Allen, simple. He has the existing rapport with Justin Herbert, and he's going to be out there on the field.
Yeah, I think people were forgetting about him just because he's an older player. He was unsigned for a long time, so it just sort of felt snoozy. And I think that was not a reflection on the lack of talent. Although I think the fantasy community was like, oh, Keenan Allen must be done because no one wants him. No, Keenan Allen wanted a lot of money, and teams weren't willing to pay.
And he got a good amount of money.
He ultimately did from the Chargers, but Keenan Allen was patient. He also wanted the right situation. I think he wanted to play on the West Coast. These are all things that I've heard. I don't know. I can't confirm any of this, but there are a lot of reasons beyond just football why Keenan Allen was unsigned for so long, and I think the fantasy community just assumed, oh, he's not any good. This is a guy who earned a 27% target share last year. He was wide receiver 33 on a points per game basis last year, despite the fact the Bears were an abysmal offense, right? And throughout his year, is Keenan Allen higher floor than expecting Trey Harris to contribute?
Yes.
This is Julio Think You Are. I see what he did there.
Yep. Julio Think You Are, I am.
Yeah, right? I am. But I'll tell you, yes, I do think he has a higher floor than expecting Trey Harris to contribute. He's been a little bit banged up. I'll tell you that I even think somebody else I'll mention if you're in a deeper league, Kendry Lambert-Smith, Keandre, I should say, KLS. He is somebody that I think is kind of interesting. I know they like him a lot. Feels like he got a little bit more run with the ones this year than Trey Harris did. And so when we were at the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, talking to some of the Chargers players on the field beforehand, like KLS is the guy that came up a lot, not Trey Harris. No one said anything bad about Trey Harris, but I was just like, and maybe it's just because, hey, it's a 5th-round pick and they didn't know what to expect. But he's been impressive in this preseason, Connor. I think it's McConkey and Keenan Allen, but I think there's a scenario where KLS outdoes Trey Harris this year fantasy-wise.
Yeah, and you wonder what it would look like if one of the top guys get hurt. Ladd is a smaller wide receiver that's gotten banged up before. Keenan Allen's older, so a name to keep an eye on for sure. Another one, another throwback name here, Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen now in a much better situation in Minnesota. Obviously, Jordan Addison is suspended for the first couple of weeks of the season. Jalen Naylor's been dealing with a hand injury. Thielen is available in 73% of leagues right now, Matthew. This is J.J. McCarthy's number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, last year he averaged almost 10 yards a target, 9.9 yards per target in 2024. That was top 10 among wide receivers with at least 10 targets. He's somebody that can still get open. He's somebody that obviously knows this system, knows Kevin O'Connell, and we expect the Vikings to be throwing. Again, they're on the road at Chicago. Bears should have a good run defense as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see Adam Thielen have a role for these first couple of weeks. And then we'll see what happens when Addison comes back. I think Hawkinson has a big year as well. I'm hearing that Hawkinson's been getting a ton of looks in practice for the Vikings as well. But Thielen's out there in too many leagues.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be interesting to see how much they pass the ball just in week one, like relative to expectation, where there's been a lot of chat about how, bring in Jordan Mason, fortify the interior of the offensive line. KOC wants to get back to being a running team. Like, it's all just words for now. Like, are they actually going to throw the ball a ton less when you still have Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson there? We'll see. I think that they probably will because it's a rookie quarterback, but that is one of the more high variance elements just in terms of what a team is going to look like in week one.
My favorite wide receiver on this list, Cedric Tillman, back on the waiver wire show. Club Sed's open again.
Club Sed is open again.
And I think he'll be open against the Bengals. 76% availability. So Club Sed is out there more than most of these guys on the list. 18-plus points in 3 of his 4 final healthy games in 2024. That was week 7 to 11. Then he had a significant concussion that shut down a lot of his season. Listen, the Browns, Matthew, they're going to be chasing points.
Yes, they are.
A lot. And that means a lot of opportunity, I think, for Cedric Tillman. And Joe Flacco could throw. It's not like we have the questions of, is Dylan Gabriel out there? Is a rookie in Shador out there? So Tillman, like he was last year for a couple of weeks, could be valuable.
He's got some YOLO to him, obviously, Joe Flacco does. And I'm not convinced that Jerry Jeudy is a better wide receiver than Cedric Tillman. I'm not convinced that that Jerry Jeudy's going to earn a higher target share. I get Jerry Jeudy had an unbelievable game against the Broncos last year. I know there's some excitement here, but we'll see. Like that all came with a different quarterback. I think Jerry Jeudy's going to be fine, and I'm a big Njoku fan, as you know. But listen, you and I both love Cedric Tillman. We've seen it in flashes. We needed to see it for a long stretch. But given how much we think the Browns are going to be chasing points, and the fact that we think Jeudy probably gets the majority of the defensive attention, to the extent the Bengals can have any, Tillman needs to be rostered in more leagues than he is right now. That's for sure.
Surprising to me.
Joe Flacco, in his comeback player of the year season with Cleveland in 2023, he played 6 games. Yeah. One of them was in the playoffs. Still won the award despite only playing 5 regular season games. In 5 of those 6 games, he threw the ball at least 44 times.
Yeah.
Which is completely ridiculous. But that's just what they wanted to do. I think a big reason they did that is that they couldn't block anything in terms of getting a run game going.
Right.
Not sure that they're in a substantially better situation now. We'll see. The Bengals are a very soft run defense, as we mentioned. But yeah, Flacco's going to air it out. And he's, in terms of like wide receivers that he's competing with, outside of Jerry Jeudy, for Cedric Tillman, like Jamari Thrash, like there's not a lot going on there.
That's true. Jay, very quick question for you. Of all the reasons you hate Joe Flacco, and I know there are many, is it that he won Comeback Player of the Year?
I didn't like that.
Or that same season, he was my number 2 quarterback on my initial League of Assholes championship run. Which part of Joe Flacco's resume do you hate the most?
Yeah, look, as much as I enjoy seeing you falter, is definitely the Comeback Player of the Year. It's not even close.
Someone lost significant money.
Yeah, someone present for the moment.
Yeah.
That's the lowest point I've ever seen Jay at. And I spent a lot of time with him.
Yes, you have.
It
was a tough scene at 2 a.m. at Momofuku in Las Vegas.
Oh, man. Honestly, your spirits were better than most people.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I tried to put on a brave face.
Yeah, you did a well job. All right, real quickly, a couple guys that I just want to mention as well. Guys, Marvin Mims is going to be the number 2 guy for what we think is a pretty good Denver offense. Last year, he was second among wide receivers in fantasy points per target, minimum 50 targets. So if he can get you more targets, and it looks through the preseason, he's been running with the ones. He's opposite Cortland Sutton and what we think. Christian Kirk there as well. Look, Houston's got those 2 rookie wide receivers. We know Nico Collins, but again, We really don't think the Texans are going to be able to run the ball. They're going to have to throw more with C.J. Stroud. Christian Kirk is going to be that slot guy, a position that last year had Stephon Diggs as a top 20 wide receiver on a points-per-game basis until he got hurt. And as long as we're talking about slot guys and sort of PPR cheat codes, Wan'Dale Robinson had 140 targets last year. That was top 10 among wide receivers. He faces my Commanders, who obviously are going to send a ton of defensive pressure and looks towards Malik Neighbors. So Wan'Dale Robinson underneath could be an outlet for Russell Wilson.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.